Business Spotlight, brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.
I'm Sonya. This is Business Spotlight in partnership with Cross Rhythms City Radio and Baba Baboon. Joining me in the studio this week, we've got Gavin Appleby, who is the chair of Newcastle Town Football Club. Hello, Gavin.
Morning, you okay?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent, thank you.
Good. Can you just explain a little bit about Newcastle Town Football Club? Because there might be people in the area who may not have even come across, or even been down to Newcastle Town. Can you just explain a little bit about what the club does?
Newcastle Town, essentially, we're a community football club. So we run men and women's first teams who play in the football pyramid, the non-league pyramid, because we're semi-professional.
Yeah.
And then we run a host of community and junior activities underneath that for girls, boys, people with disabilities, mental health sessions.
Right.
As well, we've got 3 facilities that we operate and run. It all sounds very grand, but it does come with its pitfalls. But we've got a stadium pitch, which has actually got a velodrome, which is quite unique in itself. We've got a training base, which has an artificial training pitch, which we got a big grant from the Football Foundation for. And then we've taken on a side recently in Nutton, which obviously we know is an area of high deprivation, low outcomes, and we're looking to do some good work, hopefully, in that area as well.
So, obviously, you're here on Business Spotlight. So, as a football club, as the size of Newcastle Town, how do you sort of have similarities, should I say, to how a business may operate? How do you sort of compare in a way?
Well, I think maybe 10 years ago, we wouldn't have classed ourselves as a business. We'd have just said, we're a football club, unincorporated. And I think over probably the last 10 years, that's really evolved into becoming a business. We operate a couple of models. We run a limited company, which looks after the men and women's first teams. But we run a CASC, a community amateur sports club, which obviously is there for the aims of the community. So we've had to evolve, we've had to become more structured over the last 10 years. And ultimately, we feel we are a business. That doesn't mean that you're not there to meet the needs of the community, but it means you've got a certain structure, and it also means you can be there for the future. Yeah, and that's important.
That's sustainability, I guess, isn't it? I mean, what kind of challenges then have been faced to actually help the club to evolve?
If we all had more time and money, we'd all probably be a lot happier, wouldn't we? I think that's one of the biggest challenges of any business. It's time and how you can bring more revenue into the business in order to go and extend on the offering that you have. And I think Newcastle Town's no different to anybody else. I know you've had Matt Hancock in here, and our challenges are the same as him. In most cases, he's just got it on a lot larger scale than we have. I mean, we run a slightly different model. A lot of our people are volunteers still. We have very few paid staff.
Okay.
So we pay a groundsman to look after all the pitches, and we pay somebody to look after a bit of the admin, and then we've got over 100 volunteers after that all need motivating, all need looking after, all want a bit of your time. So we face many of the challenges that any other business would, and when you're working with volunteers, then obviously that can be quite challenging as well.
Yeah, and you just mentioned there Matt Hancock, Chief Executive of Port Vale Football Club, and he has been on Business Spotlight, and because you've mentioned him, Gavin, one of the questions I did actually ask Matt was what sort of pressures he comes under as a chief executive, and as yourself, and as you've just talked about there, the different challenges as Newcastle Town as a business, as chair of the club. How do you cope with those pressures? Is it the community you've got around you? Is it the whole team at the club that you've got around you to help you, support you?
I think there's 2 things. I think you've got to be a certain character, and I think you've got to be the type of character that you can't take it home with you.
Yeah.
When you do eventually get home, that is. You've got to be able to have your switch off, whatever that is, whether it's time with the family, whether it's, I quite like watching a bit of the snooker.
Yeah.
But so I think you've got to have a certain character. I think if you can't switch off, if you don't switch off, then that could be quite negative to your leadership, and that's also something that you have to learn, I think, as you grow and develop as a leader of a company, and that's something I've definitely had to learn.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't switch off, particularly in the early days. Now I'm a lot better at it. Still probably got a bit more to do.
Yeah.
But I think that's really important, and I think ultimately it's nothing personal in business, is it? It is just business, and I think you can't take things too much to heart. And there's always a solution around the corner.
Yeah.
Whatever your problem is, there's definitely a solution to solve it. So you've got to focus on that. So I think them are the key things. Can you switch off?
Yeah.
Can you learn to switch off? And those pressures don't become too consuming.
Yeah.
And obviously looking for solutions is a massive part of running any business, I'd say.
Definitely, 100%. And going on from that then, so your relationships with other businesses in the local area as well, how do those partnerships sort of work, and how did they form?
We rely very, very heavily on local businesses. They are key to us running. We couldn't run without them. So we have a lot of donations from businesses. We have a lot of kind of corporate sponsorships, hospitality packages that we sell. And again, that's something that 10 years ago just wasn't on our radar. You know, hospitality is a massive part of what we do now, corporate sponsorships. And, you know, I just used to stick a board up 10 years ago, and that was enough. That's how you made your money. But it's all evolved, and you can see that with what other local clubs are doing. And you can see that with all these teams are building new stadiums. They're putting so many hospitality packages in and suites to entertain, because that's where, you know, clubs like this have got to bring extra revenue in. So that's something that we've started to do a lot of.
Right.
And that also brings you other add-ons. It brings you connection, it brings your atmosphere. So we found that a real key part of what we've been doing, particularly the hospitality side. We've set up a business club, so that all the people who partner with us, we can keep in regular contact, because the last thing you want to do, and I think most clubs have been guilty of this, is somebody gives you some money, you don't speak to them till the time for some more money.
Yep.
And they go, I've not seen you for 12 months.
Yep.
So those are the sort of things you've got to do to make your partners feel valued. And we wouldn't run. We just wouldn't run without people donating and doing sponsorships, or we wouldn't run to the level that we do with, you know, thousands of children playing football every week. So they're really key, and I think, again, we've had to learn. Yeah. I mean, the professional clubs, the years ahead of us in this department, they were doing this 15 years ago, 10 years ago. I think non-league's just about sort of catching on that this is what we've got to do. And you've got to learn what works for you, because what Port Vale do or Stoke City do might not work in Newcastle Town. Yeah. So it's also about learning what your partners want, and how you can best support them. But they're absolutely vital to us, and I'm sure they are to most clubs.
Yeah. And like you say, from what I'm getting there, then it is about, when you talk about hospitality and, you know, providing better, maybe quality of hospitality, it's about providing a service, not just an advertising board, but a service and an experience, should I say, an experience more than anything. And those relationships can build, and probably if someone comes along to the club for the first time and has an experience with hospitality, and whether they come along and meet you, or they meet the players or the management, etc., it gives somebody an experience and something to remember, doesn't it?
And I think, again, that's something that non-league's catching up with, you know, from the moment somebody walks through your turnstile, or even before, when they're looking at your media, your website, and making that decision. Do I want to go to a Newcastle Town match, or do I want to take my son or daughter to play at Newcastle Town? That all starts before they walk through your gate, of course. So what's your website say about you? I mean, you know all about that, don't you? You make a living out of it, but that's really key for everybody to make those decisions, because we're all competing for everybody's attention.
Yeah.
There's so much for people to do now. What's going to make you stand out from the rest? And then, of course, when you get them through the door, which is a task in itself, can you keep them? How good do you make those people feel? And that's crucial, I think, particularly to us. People don't grow up a lifelong Newcastle Town fan, unfortunately. We have to convert people to come to our club, and when they come, we have to convert them to stay.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of work that goes into that, and you've got to keep your present people happy as well.
Yeah.
Everybody's always chasing new people,
Yeah.
which is what we want. Bring more revenue in. We've got to look after what's already there, and that experience is something that we've really had to work on, and it's not something we thought about. And we've had a lot of, perhaps, don't want to speak unto, but a lot of people who perhaps come from a different era, where you didn't do that, and we've had to change a lot of mindsets along the way. That actually, when people come through that door, you got to make them feel $1 million.
Yeah. So what about the business club then? Can you just elaborate a little bit more on how that works?
Yeah, we started it about 18 months ago, and we run it every month. We more or less. I mean, we tend to perhaps skip April because there's a lot of holidays in April, and Christmas is always a difficult one. So we do 10 a year. All those current sponsors and partners are welcome to attend. We give somebody a spotlight to talk and explain what their business does, and ultimately we're trying to give some added value back to our partners to say, we put you in the room with this company, you can perhaps save on your cost by working with them, or they can provide you something that you're looking for. And then of course we invite new business as well, and that's again for them to connect with everybody in the room, and for us to connect with them ultimately, because we are a community club and we do want to be part of our community. We're heavily part of it now, but there's not to say we can't do a fair bit more. Yeah,
definitely. And talking about we've talked about a bit there about the business support and how vital it is for a club like Newcastle Town as well. But what value, I'm just going to ask you now and flip it on the other side, the young people that come through the door, or even the players in the first teams or whatever, what value do they get from, having a business supporting them and having that to help the club to continue running as it does? Is it confidence? Is it, again, do they get connections with businesses perhaps they never would have had before?
I think for the players, I think sometimes it's very difficult for sponsors to see how their £500, £1,000, whatever it is, translates to the players. And that's something that we keep saying we need to kind of do a bit more on and say, look, this is what your money's buying. But a lot of it's unmeasurable. I mean, we see people come at 7 years of age with low confidence, no social skills, anxiety, etc. And then you might see them 10 years later, a completely different person. Now, you're not the only part of their journey in that, but you're a little bit of it. And I always think community clubs now are like youth clubs. And, when I was a kid, I used to get me £1 and go to the youth club, and you could get a chocolate bar and a can of pop, and I've changed then.
Them were the days.
Them were the days. We're almost like youth club. We're keeping these people off the streets. We're keeping them physically well, and a massive part of it now is keeping people mentally well, and that's a massive thing that's come in. And I kind of see us as being that pillar in the community for businesses to understand that actually we're adding so much value to their community, because I think Stoke's a unique place, and the people in Stoke and Staffordshire want to look after their own, and they want to spend the money in their own town, and they're proud of their own town, and I think we play a big part in that.
So going on from that then, I know we talked about, you've got the men's teams, the men's senior teams and everything, but I am aware as well you've got the women's teams. So how has that grown Again, as a business is also supporting the women's football as well, or is it just the men's?
I think the businesses are very keen to support women's football, and I don't think you can run a proper football club, community club, without running that anymore. It's the right thing to do.
Yep.
It's the sensible thing to do, and it's the right business thing to do. So all three boxes are ticked. It's great, to be honest. Our women's team's done okay this year, but the support from the businesses have been really keen to support, because I think businesses like to see progress.
Yeah.
Any business likes to see progress, whether it's their own progress, which can be measured in loads of different ways, or whether it's progress of those around them and those projects that they support. We like to see progress. We like to see people playing football and enjoying playing sport. That's our progress. The more people we can get doing that, the better.
Yeah.
The more businesses we can get to support that, the better. But women's sport has had a real boom, and I just hope it continues, because it's great to see young girls, aspirational, and of course the business around that's got to evolve. I mean, we do things like free period products. Again, 10 years ago, that's not on anyone's radar. Now it's normal. Each team, we give them we call it the red card week. So we give them a bag, loads of period products in, and that's what it's about as well. That's what businesses are supporting, giving young people, young girls, a confidence not to be ashamed about these things. It's a natural thing. And that's where we've really evolved over the last 2-3 years, and it's great really to see.
I was going to say, it shows like that ever evolving, like you say, whether it's a business, but for the club, for the future, that again, when we talked about earlier about being more sustainable in growth as well. So aside from the women, what about anything else? Is there anything else going on at Newcastle Town?
We're doing a lot of work at the moment. I'm glad you've asked, with disability football and pan-disability football. We've kind of got a couple of years ago to a rather large size offering with our community stuff, but we never had a lot of people playing with disabilities, and it's something that we've been really keen. So you hear a lot of business talk about their social responsibility. That's our responsibility to make sure that these people who are perhaps on the edge of society at times, it's fair to say, from a footballing perspective, actually we do our utmost to get them involved and giving them the opportunity that everybody else has got. So we started a couple of years ago with a little programme on a Wednesday. People with, maybe autism or cerebral palsy, loads of different needs, and come in and take part in football training. And that started to grow quite a bit now. So we've recently introduced a sensory room. So those people that need a bit of time out. So we've got the ear defenders, we've got the fidget toys, some lovely bean bags, to be fair. I've thought of having a little kip in there a couple of times. And we've just applied for a bid from Barracks Trust, which is a nice little fund that people might want to look into. So I've had positive conversations with them. So these are the things we're talking about doing, your period product, your sensory room. It's about how you make people feel at the end of the day, isn't it? What is their experience when they come to your ground? And if they feel comfy, if they're happy, they'll definitely come back. And that's only good for business.
Definitely. Gavin, thank you so much for coming on Business Spotlight. I hope you've enjoyed it.
I have. Thank you very much.
That's Gavin Appleby, Chair of Newcastle Town Football Club, here on Business Spotlight with me, Sonya Farrell.
Business Spotlight, shining a light on our local business community. Brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.